She may have pulled away, leaving you questioning everything. But as the Stoics believed, moments of distance can often be opportunities for growth, reflection, and reconnection. A woman's behavior after stepping back often carries subtle clues about her intentions. In this episode, we'll explore 7 clear signs that she's likely to come back after pulling away, signs rooted in psychology, emotional connection, and human nature. Watch till the end to learn how to spot these signals, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. She brings up past happiness. When a woman begins reminiscing about the good times you shared, it's a meaningful sign that she's reconsidering the relationship. Nostalgia is one of the most powerful emotions we experience, often tied to feelings of love, connection, and longing. If she's bringing up moments of shared happiness, it's likely because those memories still hold a special place in her heart, and she's starting to see the relationship through a more positive lens. For example, she might casually say, "Remember that trip we took? I haven't laughed like that in ages." At first glance, this might seem like a harmless comment, but it carries a deeper significance. These kinds of statements aren't just about recalling the past, they're a way of testing the waters. By sharing those memories, she's subtly gauging how you feel about them too. Does the joy of those moments still resonate with you? Are you open to the possibility of creating more memories like them? Sometimes, the way she brings up these memories is just as telling as the words themselves. She may smile nostalgically, her tone may soften, or her eyes might light up as she recalls a particular event. Pay attention to the emotional charge behind her words. It can reveal just how deeply those memories affect her. A simple mention of a shared laugh, a favorite date, or a special trip is her way of saying that those moments still matter to her, even after time and distance. The Stoics taught us to reflect on the past, not to dwell on it, but to appreciate its value and learn from it. Similarly, when she brings up moments of happiness, she's not just looking backward, she's reassessing the relationship in the present. She's recognizing its worth and reminding herself anew of the connection you once shared. This process is not just about nostalgia, it's about re-evaluating the potential of the relationship moving forward. When she initiates these conversations, it's important to respond with warmth and understanding. Resist the urge to overanalyze or attach too many expectations to these moments. Instead, show her that you cherish those memories as much as she does. For example, if she says, "Remember how much fun we had at that concert?" you might respond with, "Of course I do. That was such a great night. You looked so happy dancing to your favorite song." This kind of response reinforces the emotional bond without pressuring her to commit to anything immediately. It's also worth noting how often she brings up these happy memories. If it's a one-time comment, it might just be a fleeting thought. But if she consistently initiates conversations about the past, it's a strong indicator that she's missing the connection you shared. Each time she reminisces, it's another opportunity to show her that you value those moments too, and that you're open to rekindling the relationship. Sometimes, her nostalgia may be subtle, like liking old photos of the two of you on social media, or mentioning small, seemingly insignificant details about your time together. These actions are often her way of keeping the connection alive in her mind and seeing if you feel the same way. Be attentive to these subtle signs, as they often speak volumes about where her heart truly lies. While it's natural to feel hopeful when she brings up the past, it's crucial to maintain a balanced approach. Don't overwhelm her with declarations of love or plans for the future right away. Instead, mirror her energy and let her take the lead. The goal is to create a safe space where she feels comfortable exploring the possibility of reconciliation at her own pace. By handling these moments with patience and sensitivity, you honor the emotions she's expressing and create a foundation for rebuilding trust. The Stoics believed that reflecting on the past could be a source of strength and wisdom, and this principle applies here. Use these shared memories as a reminder of what made the relationship special, but also as a guide for what you can improve together moving forward. Ultimately, when she brings up past happiness, it's a sign that the connection still holds value for her. Responding with warmth, understanding, and a genuine appreciation for those moments can encourage her to take steps toward rekindling the relationship. This approach not only deepens the bond, but also reminds her why the relationship was worth fighting for in the first place. Chapter 2. She shows emotions again. When a woman pulls away, she often suppresses her emotions as a way of protecting herself. This defense mechanism allows her to process what she's feeling while maintaining a sense of control. However, when she begins to express emotions like sadness, hurt, or frustration, it's a strong indication that she still cares about the relationship. Emotional vulnerability in this context often signals that she's testing the waters to see if the connection can be repaired without exposing herself to unnecessary pain. For example, she might say something like, "I've been thinking a lot and I feel bad about how things ended." While this may sound like a simple statement, it's loaded with meaning. It's her way of opening a door without fully committing to stepping through it. She's sharing her feelings in a way that invites a response but still allows her to gauge your reaction. Other signs of emotional vulnerability might come in the form of indirect communication, such as a sentimental message, a song she shares that reminds her of the past, or even subtle gestures like revisiting places that hold significance for both of you. The Stoics emphasized the importance of emotional awareness, viewing it not as a weakness, but as an essential tool for understanding oneself and others. They believed that emotions, when acknowledged and managed wisely, could lead to personal growth and stronger connections. In this light, her willingness to show emotions after pulling away isn't just a sign that she cares, it's also an act of courage. She's allowing herself to be seen, which is a crucial step toward rebuilding trust and intimacy. When she begins to show her emotions again, your response can make all the difference. The first and most important step is to approach her vulnerability with empathy and patience. Resist the urge to rush in and fix things right away. Often, what she needs most in these moments is simply to feel heard and understood. For example, if she expresses sadness or regret, you could respond with something like, "I really appreciate you sharing this with me. It means a lot to hear how you're feeling." This not only validates her emotions, but also reassures her that it's safe to continue opening up. It's equally important to avoid reacting defensively or dismissively, even if her feelings are difficult to hear. Instead, embody the Stoic principle of equanimity, stay calm, steady, and open. By doing so, you create an environment where she feels comfortable expressing herself without fear of judgment or rejection. Remember, this isn't the time to rehash past arguments or assign blame. Focus on the present moment and the opportunity it brings to reconnect on an emotional level. In some cases, her emotions might not come through direct words, but through actions. She might reach out to check on you, ask about your well-being, or share something meaningful from the past. These subtle gestures can be just as significant as verbal expressions of emotion. Paying attention to these cues and responding with kindness and understanding can further strengthen the emotional bridge she's trying to rebuild. The process of expressing emotions after a period of withdrawal can be overwhelming, both for her and for you. It's natural to feel uncertain about what the next steps should be. In these moments, lean into the Stoic teaching of focusing on what you can control, your own actions and responses. Show her through your behavior that the emotional bond between you is still intact and that you're willing to nurture it. Sometimes, the most meaningful way to respond to her emotions is simply by being present. Listening attentively, offering a reassuring smile, or even a gentle "I understand" can speak volumes. You don't need to have all the answers or solutions. What matters most is that she feels seen, heard, and valued. This kind of emotional support lays the foundation for rebuilding trust and intimacy. Ultimately, when a woman begins to show her emotions again, it's a pivotal moment in the relationship. How you handle this vulnerability can either pave the way for healing or create further distance. By responding with empathy, patience, and a genuine willingness to listen, you honor her courage in sharing her feelings. The Stoics remind us that emotions are a bridge to understanding, not barriers to be avoided. Use this moment to strengthen your connection and take a meaningful step toward reconciliation. Chapter 3. She apologizes for the past. One of the clearest and most meaningful signs that she's considering returning to the relationship is when she begins to take responsibility for her actions. A genuine apology is a powerful gesture, one that signals self-reflection and a sincere desire to make amends for any hurt or misunderstandings she may have caused. This level of accountability often comes after a period of introspection, where she's had the time and space to process the dynamics of the relationship and recognize her own role in its challenges. For instance, she might reach out and say something like, "I know I wasn't fair to you, and I'm sorry for how I handled things." These words, simple yet profound, reveal her maturity and emotional growth. By expressing remorse and taking ownership of her behavior, she's demonstrating a willingness to rebuild trust, an essential element for any chance at reconciliation. Sometimes, apologies may come in more indirect forms, like mentioning moments she regrets or subtly acknowledging situations she handled poorly. Regardless of how it's delivered, the act of apologizing reflects her intention to repair the emotional rift between you. The Stoics placed a high value on accountability and self-awareness, viewing these traits as essential to personal and relational growth. They believed that acknowledging one's mistakes wasn't a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of strength and integrity. By apologizing, she's embodying these principles, showing that she values the relationship enough to admit where she fell short. This act not only signifies her emotional growth, but also serves as a foundation for rebuilding a healthier and more honest connection. When this moment comes, how you respond is crucial. The natural temptation might be to either rush to forgive and sweep everything under the rug or, conversely, to use the opportunity to revisit past grievances and assign blame. Neither approach fosters true healing. Instead, take a balanced stance. Acknowledge her apology with grace and appreciation. For example, you might say, "I really appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me that you've taken the time to reflect on everything." This response not only validates her effort, but also sets a positive tone for moving forward. It's equally important to avoid rekindling old arguments or turning her apology into a debate about who was more at fault. While it's natural to have unresolved feelings about the past, addressing them requires patience and mutual respect, not accusations. By focusing on her effort to make amends rather than rehashing the pain, you create an environment where both of you feel safe to open up and work toward reconciliation. Sometimes, an apology may come with emotional undertones, such as regret, sadness, or even hope. Pay attention to these subtle cues, as they can offer insight into her intentions. For example, if she says something like, "I wish I had handled things differently," it might indicate that she's not only reflecting on the past, but also imagining a future where things could be better between you. Responding with empathy, such as, "I've thought about that too, and I believe we can learn from what happened," can reinforce the idea that growth is possible on both sides. The way she apologizes can also reveal her emotional state and readiness to rebuild the connection. A rushed or defensive apology might indicate lingering uncertainty, whereas a calm and heartfelt one suggests genuine introspection. Be attentive to her tone, choice of words, and body language if you're speaking in person. These details often convey more than the words themselves and can help you gauge the sincerity of her intentions. Beyond acknowledging her apology, take this opportunity to reflect on your own role in the relationship. While her taking responsibility is significant, reconciliation is a two-way street. The Stoics believed in the importance of examining one's own actions and behaviors, not just those of others. By demonstrating your own accountability, you show her that you're equally committed to learning from the past and building a stronger, more resilient connection moving forward. Ultimately, an apology isn't just about the words, it's about the intent behind them and the actions that follow. If she's making the effort to take responsibility, it's a sign that she values the relationship and sees potential for a renewed connection. When handled with care and mutual respect, this moment of vulnerability can pave the way for healing and growth. By approaching her apology with empathy and an open heart, you honor not only her effort but also the possibility of a fresh start grounded in trust and understanding. Chapter 4. She initiates serious conversations. When a woman begins initiating meaningful conversations about your past relationship, your potential future together, or revisiting deep topics you've shared before, it's a clear indication that she's evaluating the possibility of reconnecting. These discussions are rarely casual. They're loaded with intent and emotion. By bringing up these subjects, she's not just reminiscing, she's testing the waters to see if there's still a mutual foundation to rebuild upon. For instance, she might ask, "Do you ever think about what went wrong between us? Or if we had done things differently, do you think we'd still be together?" These questions are subtle yet deeply significant. They're her way of opening a dialogue about the unresolved issues in your relationship while also exploring whether there's room for growth and healing. Such conversations often carry an undertone of vulnerability, suggesting she's reflecting on your shared experiences and wondering if reconciliation is possible. The Stoics believed that meaningful dialogue was not just a means of communication, but a path to personal and relational growth. In their view, conversations that dig deeper into emotions and intentions serve as a bridge to understanding. When she initiates these talks, it's an opportunity for both of you to engage in a dialogue that promotes clarity and trust. Her willingness to revisit serious topics demonstrates that she's not just testing your emotional availability, but also considering the potential for a new chapter together. These conversations can take many forms, from direct questions about your past to more subtle comments about shared memories. For example, she might say, "I've been thinking about what you said the last time we argued. It made me realize I wasn't being fair." This isn't just a casual remark, it's her way of acknowledging her role in past conflicts while signaling a desire to address unresolved issues. Such moments reveal her intention to heal old wounds and create a stronger foundation moving forward. Another scenario might involve her bringing up the future, even in hypothetical terms. She could say something like, "Do you ever think about where we'd be if things hadn't ended? Or I always thought we'd do X together someday." These comments aren't just wistful, they're her way of gauging whether you still see a future with her. When a woman starts envisioning scenarios that include you, it's a strong sign that she's considering the possibility of rebuilding the connection. Body language and tone also play a significant role in these conversations. Pay attention to how she approaches these topics. Is her tone serious and reflective, or is it light and casual? Does she maintain eye contact, leaning closer, or display other signs of emotional engagement? These subtle cues can help you determine how deeply invested she is in exploring the possibility of reconciliation. It's important to approach these conversations with honesty and composure. The Stoics taught that meaningful dialogue requires not just words, but also the right mindset. Respond to her questions and comments with openness, but avoid rushing to conclusions or making assumptions about her intentions. For example, if she asks about what went wrong in your relationship, resist the urge to place blame or become defensive. Instead, focus on expressing your perspective in a calm and thoughtful manner. When she brings up serious topics, it's also an opportunity to show her that you're willing to grow. Acknowledge any mistakes you made in the relationship and demonstrate that you've learned from them. This not only builds trust, but also reassures her that you're capable of contributing to a healthier, more balanced partnership in the future. For instance, you might say, "I've thought a lot about what happened, and I realize now that I could have communicated better." I'm working on being more open and understanding. These conversations can also be an opening to explore her feelings and intentions more deeply. Ask her questions to encourage further dialogue and show genuine interest in her perspective. For example, you could say, "What made you think about this now?" or "How do you feel about where we are right now?" By engaging her in meaningful dialogue, you create a space for mutual understanding and emotional connection. However, it's essential to remain patient and not pressure her for immediate answers or decisions. The Stoics emphasized the importance of letting things unfold naturally without forcing outcomes. When she initiates these conversations, it's often because she's still processing her emotions and trying to determine whether she's ready to take the next step. Respect her pace and allow the dialogue to develop organically. In some cases, these conversations may also serve as a form of closure for her. She might be revisiting the past to gain clarity or make peace with what happened. Even if reconciliation isn't her immediate goal, engaging in these discussions with respect and sincerity can leave a positive impression. By showing that you're willing to listen and communicate without judgment, you demonstrate emotional maturity and leave the door open for future possibilities. Ultimately, when a woman initiates serious conversations, it's a sign that she values the emotional connection you shared and is considering whether it can be rebuilt. These discussions are an opportunity to address past issues, clarify intentions, and explore the potential for a renewed relationship. Approach them with honesty, patience, and an open heart, and you'll create a foundation for meaningful growth and connection, whether it leads to reconciliation or simply a deeper understanding of each other. Chapter 5. She resumes familiar gestures. When a woman begins revisiting the thoughtful gestures she used to do during your relationship, it's often a clear indication that she's looking to re-establish the bond you once shared. These actions might seem small on the surface, but they carry a deep emotional weight. She may send you a good morning text like she used to, share a song that reminds her of you, or surprise you with a coffee order she knows you love. These gestures are her way of saying, "I still think about you, and I want to bring back the little things that made us special." In relationships, familiarity often equates to comfort. When she resumes these gestures, she's signaling that she misses the connection and is willing to take steps to rebuild it. For instance, if she used to send you random texts during the day to check in and suddenly starts doing that again, it's a strong sign that she's trying to reintroduce herself into your daily life. These acts, while subtle, show that she values the dynamic you shared and hopes to reignite that spark. The Stoics believed that consistency in action is the foundation of trust and connection, and this applies perfectly here. When she resumes those familiar gestures, it's not just about nostalgia, it's a conscious effort to rebuild the trust and intimacy that once existed between you. Small acts of kindness, like sharing something that reminded her of you or remembering an inside joke, are her way of bridging the emotional gap. They serve as a gentle invitation for you to respond in kind and reciprocate that effort. For example, imagine she sends you a meme or video related to a shared interest or an inside joke you used to laugh about together. On the surface, it might seem like a casual message, but it often signifies much more. She's testing the waters, hoping to see if the humor or connection you shared is still alive. It's her way of reviving the emotional rhythm of your relationship. Similarly, if she surprises you with a gift or does something thoughtful, like recommending a book she knows you'd enjoy, she's signaling that you're still on her mind. These gestures often come from a place of wanting to remind you of the unique bond you had, and they serve as her way of saying she's open to reconnecting on a deeper level. Responding to these gestures with warmth and appreciation is crucial. If she surprises you with something familiar, like a song or a memory, take the time to acknowledge it. For instance, if she sends you a playlist of songs that remind her of you, don't just say thanks. Instead, engage with her by saying something like, "Wow, this takes me back. I remember how much we loved this artist." This kind of response not only validates her efforts, but also encourages her to continue reaching out. It's also important to consider the subtlety of her actions. Some women may not directly state their intentions or feelings, but their actions speak volumes. If she's making an effort to resume these small, meaningful gestures, it's her way of signaling that she's not only reminiscing about the past, but actively trying to rebuild a connection. These familiar gestures often carry an emotional safety net as well. By revisiting actions she knows you appreciated, she's creating a sense of predictability and comfort. It's her way of saying, I know what made us happy before, and I'm willing to try again. This ties back to Stoic philosophy, where small, consistent actions were seen as a path to long-term harmony and trust. Another layer to these gestures is the emotional vulnerability they represent. By resuming actions that were unique to your relationship, she's putting herself out there, even if subtly. For instance, if she used to call you with a funny story about her day and suddenly does it again, it's her way of inviting you back into her world. These moments reflect her willingness to re-establish the emotional intimacy that once existed. However, it's essential to approach these gestures with patience and mindfulness. While her actions indicate she's interested in rebuilding the relationship, they might also be tentative steps to test your response. The Stoics taught us to act with intention and composure, and this wisdom applies here. Responding thoughtfully, without rushing or overwhelming her, helps foster a positive environment where she feels safe to open up further. At times, these gestures may also come with hints of nostalgia. She might say something like, "Remember when we used to do this?" or "I found this picture of us. Those were good times." These moments aren't just about remembering the past. They're about gauging whether you feel the same way and whether you're open to revisiting that shared happiness. Reciprocation is key here. If she sends a thoughtful text or shares a memory, don't just acknowledge it, take the opportunity to contribute to the conversation. For instance, if she brings up a memory of a trip you took together, respond with a detail she might have forgotten or a positive sentiment about that experience. By doing so, you're showing that you're not only receptive to her efforts, but also willing to invest in rebuilding the connection. In conclusion, when a woman resumes familiar gestures from your relationship, it's a strong sign that she's thinking about you and is open to rekindling the bond. These actions are her way of reintroducing the comfort, trust, and emotional intimacy you shared. By appreciating and responding to these gestures thoughtfully, you create a space for deeper connection and a renewed relationship. Remember, it's the small, consistent acts that often pave the way for significant emotion. Chapter 6. She has misused moments. When she begins to reach out with small, sentimental gestures, it's often her way of saying she still values the bond you shared. These miss you moments could take many forms, such as sending you an old photo of the two of you, casually mentioning memories from your time together, or asking about your day. While these actions may seem subtle, they carry an emotional weight that signals her longing to reconnect with the connection you once had. For example, she might text something like, "I was going through my old photos and found this one of us. Remember how fun that day was?" On the surface, it may seem like an innocent trip down memory lane, but it's much more than just nostalgia. It's her way of testing the waters, gauging your emotional response, and subtly opening the door to a potential conversation about the relationship. Moments like these aren't random, they reflect her lingering emotional investment in you. These actions demonstrate that she's not ready to fully let go of the past. The Stoics often taught that human connection is one of life's most profound experiences, and her misused moments are a testament to that. She's trying to reignite the shared emotional energy you once had, even if she's doing it cautiously and indirectly. By bringing up old memories or expressing curiosity about your current life, she's signaling that she's thinking about you more than she might openly admit. Sometimes these moments might also include her expressing regret or subtle hints of vulnerability. For instance, she could say, "I miss how we used to laugh about the silliest things," or "Nobody gets me like you do." These statements may seem casual, but they're often layered with deeper emotions. Her intent is to reconnect with the comfort and familiarity you provided. Even if she doesn't explicitly say, "I miss you," these indirect statements speak volumes about her feelings. It's also important to note that "miss you" moments often involve her trying to bridge gaps in communication. If she reaches out unexpectedly, such as sending you a quick text, sharing a memory, or even liking your old social media posts, she's seeking a way to re-establish a connection without making herself too vulnerable right away. These gestures indicate that you're still on her mind and that she's looking for ways to re-enter your life gradually. When you notice these moments, your response is crucial. The Stoics believed in maintaining balance and composure, and that principle applies here. Respond to her outreach with warmth and positivity, but avoid overreacting or coming across as desperate. For example, if she shares a nostalgic memory, reply with something like, "Yeah, that was a great day. I'm glad you remembered it too." Acknowledging the memory without overwhelming her with emotion keeps the tone balanced and leaves room for further conversation. At the same time, don't dismiss these moments as insignificant. While they may seem small on the surface, they're often significant steps for her emotionally. By sharing her feelings, even indirectly, she's making herself vulnerable and hoping to find a receptive and safe space with you. Responding thoughtfully and authentically can encourage her to open up further and deepen the connection. Another layer of these "miss you" moments could involve her finding ways to ask about your current life. For instance, she might ask, "How's work going?" or "I heard you've been traveling. How was it?" While these questions may seem casual, they're her way of staying connected and showing that she still cares about what's happening in your life. When she shows interest in your day-to-day experiences, it's often because she's trying to rebuild a sense of closeness and relevance in your world. Be mindful, though, that not all "miss you" moments lead to immediate reconciliation. She may still be working through her own emotions, hesitating to fully commit to reconnecting. That's why patience and a measured approach are essential. Let her take the lead in these moments, but also show her that you're open to positive interactions. This balance helps create an environment of trust and emotional safety, which is critical for any potential reconciliation. Lastly, these moments are an opportunity for you to reflect on the relationship as well. Ask yourself if the connection you shared is something you genuinely want to rekindle. The Stoics emphasized self-awareness and the importance of aligning actions with values. If her gestures resonate with you and you feel there's potential for growth and mutual happiness, allow these moments to become stepping stones toward a healthier and more meaningful relationship. In conclusion, when she initiates these "miss you" moments, they're often her way of breaking the silence and exploring the possibility of reconnecting. Whether it's through shared memories, sentimental gestures, or curiosity about your current life, these actions reveal her lingering emotional ties. Responding with positivity and balance can encourage further interaction while respecting her pace and emotional state. By staying present and authentic, you can navigate these moments with grace and potentially rebuild a stronger connection. Chapter 7: The Sparkle Returns. One of the clearest and most undeniable signs that she's still attracted to you lies in her eyes and the subtle warmth that radiates from her presence. When she looks at you with a glow in her eyes, a playful smile, or an unmistakable eagerness to interact, it's a silent yet powerful message that her feelings for you haven't disappeared. This sparkle is more than just a physical reaction, it's a reflection of renewed emotional connection, curiosity, and even hope for a second chance. The eyes, as they say, are windows to the soul. When a woman feels genuine affection or attraction, her emotions naturally shine through in her gaze. You might catch her glancing at you when she thinks you're not looking, or see a visible brightness in her expression when you enter the room. These subtle but profound shifts in demeanor are signs that she still sees something special in you. the Stoics understood that what we feel internally often manifests externally. They believed that emotions, when controlled and channeled positively, could bring clarity and purpose to our actions. In the same way, when she looks at you with warmth and a sense of openness, it's her subconscious revealing feelings that words might not yet articulate. That sparkle is an external manifestation of her inner emotional state, a mix of nostalgia, longing, and curiosity. But the sparkle isn't just about her eyes. Her entire body language plays a role in conveying her feelings. If she leans in closer when you're speaking, mirrors your movements, or seems fully engaged in your presence, these are strong indicators that she's drawn to you. For example, she might unconsciously adjust her posture to face you directly, tilt her head slightly as you speak, or even touch her hair or lips during the conversation. These subtle cues show her renewed comfort and interest in your company. Another way to identify this sparkle is through her enthusiasm in interactions. She may laugh more easily at your jokes, tease you playfully, or find excuses to extend the conversation. These actions reflect a subconscious desire to re-establish the emotional connection you once shared. Even when the interaction is brief, her energy and attitude toward you will feel noticeably lighter, warmer, and more positive. It's also important to recognize that the sparkle isn't always immediate or constant. Sometimes, it may take a few interactions for these signs to become visible, especially if there's been hurt or tension in the past. Patience is key. Don't rush to conclusions or pressure her into revealing her emotions. Instead, let her express herself at her own pace, and stay attentive to the little things that indicate her growing comfort and interest in your presence. However, while observing these signs, it's crucial to respect her space and boundaries. The Stoics emphasized the value of balance and composure in relationships. Just as she may be signaling her openness to reconnect, it's equally important for you to remain grounded and avoid becoming overly eager or presumptive. Acknowledge her warmth and reciprocate with kindness and authenticity, but don't push too hard for more than she's ready to give. Additionally, if she shows the sparkle but then pulls back occasionally, it doesn't necessarily mean her feelings have changed. Emotional conflicts, fear of vulnerability, or unresolved concerns might cause hesitation. Recognize that relationships often involve moments of uncertainty, and maintaining your composure during these times is key to building trust and rebuilding the bond. The Stoics also taught us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. Her reactions and emotions are ultimately her own, but your response to them can shape the dynamic between you. Approach her with genuine interest, attentiveness, and respect, showing her that you value her presence and the connection you share. Finally, keep in mind that the sparkle in her eyes is not just about her attraction to you, it's also a reflection of how she feels about herself when she's around you. If she feels appreciated, valued, and safe in your company, that energy will naturally shine through. Therefore, one of the most powerful things you can do is create an environment where she feels comfortable being her authentic self. In conclusion, the sparkle in her eyes, her body language, and her enthusiasm are all signs that she's considering reconnecting with you. These subtle yet powerful indicators reveal her renewed interest and emotional investment. Pay close attention to her cues, remain patient, and approach her with the warmth and authenticity that attracted her in the first place. When you respect her pace and build a positive and trusting environment, you lay the foundation for a stronger, more meaningful connection moving forward. These 7 signs aren't just random behaviors, they're clear signals rooted in human psychology and emotional connection. By staying present and responding with warmth and authenticity, you can navigate these moments with stoic composure and potentially rekindle the relationship. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity for growth.